Hey guys, what's going on today? Bojo here, back again for some more NHL 17 news, and in today's video we're going to be going over an article that was released by Game Informer labeled 68 Things We Know About NHL 17. So Game Informer got their hands on exclusive with the game and wrote us a little article pretty much telling us 68 things that we can expect about NHL 17. Now, I'm not going to touch on every single thing that they reveal to us, just some of the new information that we got, and I'm only going to be focusing on the general gameplay, franchise, and EASHL categories. I'm not going to be touching Hockey Ultimate Team nor Draft Champions because the information that was revealed to us there, I've already covered in previous videos. But if you guys want to go check out the article for yourself, I'll leave the link in the description so you can go check it out. But let's get rolling here, and first off, we're going to start with two general things that we can expect in NHL 17. So to start off, the big push for presentation this year is celebrating significant moments. So this is for pretty much Be a Pro mode. Across franchise mode and Be a Pro franchise mode as well, NHL 17 is now smarter about recognizing appropriate milestones to call out. For instance, during a player's first game, the team will haze him by making him take the first lap of the warm-up skate alone. When a player scores his first goal, a teammate will grab the puck and hand it to the equipment manager for safekeeping. Veteran landmarks like games played or points accrued are awarded with silver sticks and commemorative pucks respectively. The other players on the ice celebrate these moments appropriately, and these landmark achievements happen for the opposing teams too. That's pretty cool. So it's going to be a lot of really cool cinematics I can expect in both Be a Pro and franchise mode for a lot of these significant moments that we can expect to see in Be a Pro. I'm very excited to see how Be a Pro is going to incorporate these moments. Are we going to get cinematics, special celebrations and things like that? I can expect to see a couple of those things in Be a Pro and franchise mode for sure, and I'm looking forward to that. Next up, practice mode is finally more fleshed out, allowing you to practice with one player versus a goaltender, power plays, penalty kills, 3-on-3s, etc. You can even practice as a goaltender. So practice mode is getting a nice little overhaul this year, and it seems like you can go really in-depth with practice mode this year, setting up a lot of different scenarios that you can actually set out for your EASHL team or just for yourself practicing for Hockey Ultimate Team or other game modes like that. It seems pretty cool. All right, so let's move on to some gameplay improvements for NHL 17. And these next two things are actually really, really important, and I think a lot of people are going to be happy because of this. So first off, we're going to take a look at checking. Checking has been a sore spot for many fans because of the inconsistent outcomes. This year, EA tweaked the system to take velocity into account more. Stationary players no longer drop opponents with crushing blows. Instead, they shove the puck carrier, which alters his position. The checker's size and strength will determine how far the puck carriers get pushed. So no more Superman checks, it seems, from a player literally standing still. You're going to knock the player off balance a little bit, but it's not going to result in those players where you're standing still and he just gets a jolt of velocity out of nowhere and he gets knocked to the ice. Also, they're saying they're taking velocity into account. So I'm worried that this might actually accrue in more charging penalties this year, because it did seem charging did end up being a penalty called in NHL 16, more consistent than it was in NHL 15, I would say, after, the tweaks and the updates and the patches that they made into the game. So I'm worried charging might become a more frequent penalty in NHL 17, but hopefully not. And once again, I would say it's up to luck whether the game declare something as a fair check or a charging penalty. Same thing with the elbowing call. You hit the elbowing button, right? But hopefully they get that fixed for NHL 17. I like the fact that checking is going to be improved upon, and this one as well. Going along with the checking, everyone who played the past two NHL games has a story about landing a successful check that knocks the player to the ground, only to have the puck be shielded by the downed player, which allows the checkee to recover possession before the checker has a chance to win the puck. Everybody has dealt with this at some point in the game. EA thinks it finally found a solution to this. When you hit a player away from the puck direction, the puck can now come free and keep going. That should cut down the number of times we see this frustrating circumstance occur. Like I said, everybody has dealt with this at some point, especially in Hockey Ultimate Team. You'll land a really great check, and the player falls on the puck. You can't seem to get it, and once he gets up, he grabs the puck again and he has like a breakaway or a 2-on-1 going the other way. It's really, really frustrating. And hopefully now that he knocks down the player, the puck will just squeak out from under him and you will get the advantage of obviously landing that check in the first place, and you get advantage over the puck. Next up, we're going to talk about some net battles. A new net battle mechanic allows you to tie up players in front of the cage or shove them out of position. On defense, you can hold the A button to tie up the stick before the offensive player is even in the vicinity, so your player is prepared once the forward tries to set up camp. And we saw this clear as day in the gameplay trailer between the Carolina Hurricanes player and the New York Islanders player, where we saw one of the other lifting the stick of the player before the puck is even coming to his possession. And obviously it was a new stick lift tie up that we can see in the game. So that is definitely going to be both in front of the net and outside of the net into the corners of the offensive zone. Next up, big, strong offensive players can initiate net battles as well, so it's not just a defensive mechanic. If a defender pushes you out too far, you can use a spin move to roll off him and gain a better position. So I don't know if we have manual control over this spin off or not, or if it's just going to be computer generated, but that's going to be cool to see that these net battles are going to have, obviously, some form of ourselves involved of how we can actually gain better positioning in front of the net. All right, so now we're going to move on to a franchise mode, and just a couple things on a franchise mode. We actually got a good list of cities that we can relocate our franchise to. Obviously, you guys know that franchise mode is the new name for BGM. Obviously, you have your control over the players, but in addition, you have all these new budgets, scenarios, coaches' goals, things like that to take care of in franchise mode. But you can also relocate your franchise, and we do have a list of cities that you can move to, which include Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Halifax, Hamilton, Hartford, Houston, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Las Vegas. That could actually be cool later on in the game if we actually do get the Las Vegas team name and logos and things like that. Might be a cool thing to do later on in NHL 17. Milwaukee, New Orleans, Oklahoma, Portland, Quebec City, Salt Lake City, San Diego, Saskatoon, and Seattle. So those are I don't know if that's the full list of teams, but it seems relatively close. I think I think it's 19 total teams. I think that might be representative of when we had our first little look at NHL 17, that trailer. There was a good list of cities that you could choose from in there, so this might be the full list. If you decide to be a heartless owner and relocate your team, the commentary team will be aware of the move and discuss the pending transition and subsequent fan reaction during the broadcast. So just that little tidbit there of new commentary things about relocating your team, and they actually might have some unique commentary phrases before the game and after the game of everything that you do in franchise mode affecting the commentary team. So that's pretty cool. You cannot build a new arena in a pre-existing market. Instead, you must maintain or renovate the building facilities like concessions, bathrooms, seats, parking, and make sure they don't fall into despair and cause fan discontent. Dissatisfaction can cause an adverse effect on your bottom line. For instance, if fans are disgusted by the quality of the bathrooms, they will be less likely to spend money on concessions. So you can't build a new arena in an already existing market. You can only build the new arenas in the new cities that you relocate your team to. So you can't rebuild a new Wells Fargo Center in the Flyers arena, for instance. You have to maintain and renovate the Wells Fargo Center as you see fit, and obviously everything that you do will have an adverse effect on something. Each NHL city is marked as a small, medium, or large market. The market size also drives how many fans are high spenders, medium spenders, and Groupon-seeking cheapskates in the respective markets. A lot more high spenders attend games in New York City, so you can get away with higher price concessions and memorabilia sales. But in a small market like Columbus, you may have to lower the price of jerseys and hot dogs to get more people to spend their hard-earned money. That's pretty cool. That market size also has an effect on how you adjust prices appropriately and pretty much everything within your budget. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if all these cities are actually going to have random market sizes or if each city already has a specific market size to them. So we'll have to see about that. I know the general manager goals and things like that and expectations are random for each team that you choose, but I don't know if city size has has a static market size to it. So we'll have to see when we actually dive into it or if we get more news on it. An organizational status hub page reports how your decisions have played out in terms of revenue, fan temperature, and ownership satisfaction. So this is going to be going back to NHL Legacy mode or NHL 14 in a sense where in GM mode you had that nice little page showing all your GM mode goals and all those fun things. So it looks like they're going to be bringing that back to a certain extent and laying out everything in a nice little spreadsheet for you, showing how your revenue's doing, your fan temperature, ownership satisfaction, maybe like graph charts and things like that. That would be pretty cool to bring that back for sure in the GM mode. Next up, the player morale system was an intriguing concept last year, but it still needs a lot of work. The first change coming to the system is giving players a better understanding of the tone they are delivering messages with, which should hopefully explain the unexpected reactions players had to your decisions last year. If you deliver a line sternly and the player reacts poorly, you will know going forward that that approach isn't conducive to getting the best out of that particular player. Basically, third option not going to work anymore. You know, in this year's game, the third option for the player morale system would more than likely always get you a no morale change or a positive morale change. Doesn't look like that is going to affect this game anymore. They're definitely improving upon that, and all your decisions this year are going to affect them in a certain way, and the tone of which you deliver them is going to affect the player morale in a certain way, but they're not touching the player morale system at all. It's still going to be in the game. If you can turn it off or not still is in question. All right, so finally we're going to move to EASHL and some things we hear about EASHL. Only 3 things we need to touch on. Well, actually 3 kind of themes. EA took feedback from the player classes last year and is tweaking each slightly, though their general skills and deficiencies are the same. Player speed was one of the biggest points of emphasis in the recalibration. If your team makes a poor pass decision that leads to a turnover, the puck is going to go the other way much more quickly. So player classes are going to still have the same skills and deficiencies as last year. You know, if a playmaker going to have good deking, maybe good passing, but your defense is going to lack a little bit, and your size is not going to be as comparable to the other players. But speed is definitely one of the emphasis points where almost every player class had the same type of speed, so it looks like they're going to tweak that a little bit. Next up, NHL 17 also introduces a handful of new classes to the mode to reflect the wider array of player styles in the NHL. The final number of new classes is still in the air as they go through play tests, but EA shared 4 of them with us. So we do have 4 new player classes that are going to be available in EASHL, and here they are. One of the new classes being tested is an Ovechkin-style hitting sniper, who loses a little bit of the traditional sniper's accuracy in favor of more hitting power. Another new forward type is the large playmaker, modeled after power forwards with great vision like Joe Thornton. The last new forward class is a two-way dangler who is modeled after the game of Pavel Datsyuk. That seems like the player class for me, to be honest. This dangler loses a little bit of his hands in favor of better defensive skills. The new class coming to defense is a puck-moving defenseman who excels at passing. Adding this class demanded the dev team to revisit the pre-existing defensive classes. Now, the offensive defenseman has the big shot, and the defensive defenseman is more of a stay-at-home net clearer. So, Shane Gostisbehere, pretty much a puck-moving defenseman. Guys like Drew Doughty, Erik Karlsson, players like that are probably puck-moving defenseman classes to show examples of. And also, EA added a rank rating to each user so the game can make pickup games based on skill. So, not going to be matched up with top team clubs anymore. They're going to try their best to match up your overall rankings best as possible to other players with the same ranking. So there you go, guys. That is just some of the new things I wanted to touch on general gameplay, franchise, and EASHL categories. Like I said, I didn't touch Hockey Ultimate Team and Draft Champions because I already went over all the new things in previous videos. But like I said, if you want to go check out everything that they talked about in this Game Informer article, link is in the description. Go check it out. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your favorite new piece of news that I revealed in this video was in the comments down below, and I'll bring you guys some more NHL 17 news whenever it is revealed. So thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys next time.